Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let me share the screen. Okay. Yeah. Before that, I mean, before sharing the screen and showing the kind of intro PPT for the integrated planning BW, I would just like to introduce myself. Uh, Actually, I'm Balaji, and I have like close to like 8 years of experience consulting for BW and BWIP, and recently I got certified in HANA in doing that. And in training, actually, I've taken few trainings on the BW part, and then the both online and face-to-face training, and on the IP also I've taken. Compared to BW, I've taken IP more. Yeah, so that's it. So maybe if you can tell me your experience, background, and the expectations, so that I can actually deliver a better training.
Till last year, I was working in testing. Like from last December only, I moved into SAP. Now I'm working in BW project. I'm working in BW7 now. We are going to start another project from next month. That is with integrated planning.
Okay.
That is the reason I'm planning to take this course.
Okay. Because actually, based on my experience, right,
there is not going to be any another resource in this project. That's why.
Okay, that's not an issue. We can, I think, to make sure you can handle that individually. That's fine. But I mean, just on the other side of it, like based on my experience, I can actually say that in US, most of the people are trying for BPC, and I'm not seeing IP much in US actually. But on the other side of, basically the Southeast Asia, like Singapore and Malaysia, wherein I have done many projects in IP. So yeah, good to hear that. You're getting chance to work in IP, because I think not much of the clients here prefer IP. Basically, they are BPS, and I myself work for like one kind wherein they move to this. Okay, so what's the kind of module that your client is?
O&M.
No, I'm just concerned on the ECC side. Like what planning they're trying to do? Is it a plant planning or the sales planning, or what kind of planning is that?
Even they haven't shared any of the project details yet. They said it is going to be in O&M, operations and maintenance.
Okay, we can actually proceed with the training, but in the meantime, if you can get the details, like specifically what kind of planning, like today in the intro session, I can give you an idea, like what kind of planning I worked on what kind of planning is actually can be done through IP, so that you get an idea and you actually try to get some details, so that we can try to concentrate more on that, so that it will be relevant for you once you are done with the training. Fine?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so hold on. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I'm able to see it now.
Okay. Okay, so normally.
Are you recording this video?
Yeah, I think she's recording it.
Okay.
So normally if you see in the way actually I handle the IP training, this will be the agenda. But we can actually include more topics if you have time. But the base topics are different. Without this, actually, you cannot actually say, okay, you have understood the basic concepts of IP. So basic and advanced, but there are some extra topics which we see. Maybe we have time, we can cover those things, status tracking system, stuff like that. But apart from that, these are the base topics. If you see I mean, today it's a demo, right? So I'll actually try to say like the position or the place of IT and how it came into the picture actually in part of the SAP BW stack. If you see the history of the planning applications in SAP, uh, I mean, they had introduced when SAP BW 3.x came into the picture, they had actually introduced something called as a strategic enterprise management, which is a SEM stack. So that's a separate stack wherein they said, okay, they'll have the planning application called the business planning and simulation (BPS), and the consolidation application called as the business consolidation and simulation is BPS. So BPS and BCS are part of the SEM, and whichever client is going for BW 3.5, they say, okay, if they are going to planning to go for the BPS or BCS or the SEM stack, that will be part of that will be installed in your existing BW system or a separate BW system. So,
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
no, I was just saying that these BCS and BPS, which are part of the SEM stack, that was during the time when BW was in the version of 3.5. So that time for planning it was BPS, and for consolidation it was BCS. And
What is that other one? BPS, another one?
BCS.
BPO?
BCS.
CGS?
BCS.
BCS.
Yeah. That's the business consolidation and simulation, which is for the consolidation thing.
Okay.
So, how does these two systems work is actually they can be installed in a BW system, maybe BW system which is connected to your ECC. You'll have one BW system which is connected to the ECC. I mean, in the sense like which from ECC you take the data and stuff like that. That BW system itself, it can be installed, or it can be installed in a separate system. Like ECC is a system, BW is a separate system. SEM can be a separate system. It depends on what the client wants. If they say, okay, I do not have a separate SEM system, they can install the SEM inside BW itself, so that the spacing is available and things like that. So, I mean, that's how it worked. BW was separate and SEM was separate. And if you have the planning on top of the BPS, you need to bring the data to BW, and it was like kind of tedious stuff. That's why when SAP came up with the BW 7.0, they thought, okay, the planning, especially the planning, leave separately the consolidation, which is a BCS, but especially the planning, they thought, okay, it has to be integrated more with BW, because when a lot of planning is happening and you want to have a report on the actual and planning stuff, so it makes sense when you have the planning completely seamlessly integrated with the BW. So that's why SAP BW 7.0 came up with a version of planning which is the integrated planning, replacing the BPS from the SEM stack. So the customers, whoever were using BPS, they were actually marketed or they were informed to migrate to IP, because feature-wise both are same. Like probably few extra features in IP were there, but whatever features in BPS, 100% they were covered in IP. So compatibility was there. And the most good thing is actually it's directly inside the BW system, and it's the part of your same data warehousing workbench. RSA, when you go, okay, you create a same cube, it's planning. If you create a normal cube, it's your
Which BW version it has to be? It has to be 7 or 7.3?
7. From 7, IP is there.
Okay, with BW 7.3, the BPS and BCS are outside of BW.
No.
And separated.
With BW 3.5, it was separate. SEM was separate, wherein which had BCS and BPS. When 7 came into picture, BPS was kind of replaced by IP, but IP is part of BW now. So from SEM, the planning application is no more BPS. So it is replaced by IP inside BW. But the BCS still remains in SEM. Now that SAP has acquired BPC, so they are saying BPC will be their primary consolidation application, and BCS support is getting over by 2015. So something like that. So they are replacing those things, but now we are concentrating on IP. So when you want the history of the IP, it's something like BW7. I think IP came into picture. So that's how it is.
BCS is inside SCM?
Yes, still it is inside HCM, and the support will get over by end of February. I'm sorry, end of 2015 December, I guess. And it's getting replaced by BPC.
SCM, you mean ECC system?
SCM is a separate stack apart from ECC and BW. That's only for the planning and consolidation, and it had two systems, which is BPS and BCS. I mean, not the systems, I mean two applications inside SCM. And as I said, you can have SCM separately, or you can actually have it in your BW. It's up to you, but it's up to the customer probably. But I mean, it's something like your planning and consolidation applications.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you concentrate more on the IP, normally to give you an introduction of planning, what is planning basically? I mean, consider that. I mean, any data warehouse should have a planning and forecasting, because whenever the customers are using data warehouse or data mining, more than reporting on the actual, like which is the primary responsibility of any BI system. Moreover, like I mean, the primary responsibility of any BI system is like reporting on the actual data. Okay, day-to-day data, load it from the source system, may it be ECC or any other database, and do a kind of massaging to the data, do a transformation, and put it to the OLAP layer, the BI, and then do the reporting. That's the primary responsibility of any BI system, right? So apart from that, the customers are more interested in doing a kind of forecasting or planning towards the future. Okay, like I mean, if you take for example any FMCG customer, like so I mean FMCG like your Unilever or someone. Okay, they are manufacturing some shampoo or something like that. They say, okay, this year, this month, the current month, today, this much is the sales. Okay, so they would actually try to plan for the next year, saying, okay, next year how much is going to be my sales, just a rough planning. And how would that planning help is, okay, if they say, okay, next year my sale is going to be like 100 cartons for this particular location, so combined all over US, they say, okay, it's going to be like 1,000 cartons or 10,000 cartons. Based on that, they can actually plan. The sale is actually linked to your procurement. Okay, if they say, okay, if they need to sell 10,000 cartons, how much raw material they need to purchase for that, and how much workers effort is required, and like planning is a kind of chain reaction. Like if you do one planning, it is linked to the other planning, and completely it helps the company to perform better. Like if you see in one of my customers, they had like planning in all three areas, like sales planning, marketing planning, and the procurement planning. Like for example, if you take a company called Sony, you know, right? Like if they say next year, June, I'm going to actually sell this much DVD players in Singapore. Hello? Okay. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear you. Are you showing me any screen? No, right?
No. I'm just saying you something about the planning stuff. We'll see. Like,
okay.
I think the screen is shared, right? You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, I'm able. It is still in the first slide, so I thought.
No. I'm just trying to say something on planning so that.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
No. I was just saying regarding the Sony. Okay. Like consider that they plan. Okay, next year June, they are going to sell some 1,000 DVD players in Singapore. Okay. That's the sales planning. Okay. Once the sales planning gets completed and approved by the manager, the sales planning data, it goes to the marketing planning people. What do they do? Okay, fine. If they have to actually sell 10,000 or 1,000 DVD players, how much of their marketing people's effort is required? How many work hours is required, or what is the planning for their effort? So that's being done by the marketing people. Once this data goes to the procurement people, in order to actually sell 10,000 DVD players, they need to produce 10,000 DVD players. So in order to produce that, what is their actually inventory? Is their inventory, how much they need to buy the raw material and all those things. So if you see the planning, it's like a chain process. Once you do the sales planning, it goes to the marketing, and it helps the company to perform better. So when they move on to 2014 June, they're in a better position than like thinking, oh, how much is going to be my sales? day-to-day sales, and based on that, like no one can actually fill their inventory based on day-to-day sales, right? So something like that. So planning generally is for this purpose, and most of the companies make use of it, and that too, like big companies are like more keen towards that. And this is just the business stuff and the need for planning. If you get into specifically IP and what it is capable of, technically saying, I mean, BW has the most highly reporting component, which is the InfoCube. BW InfoCube is the one on top of which like most of the reports are built. So BW InfoCube, as I said, it's I mean, reporting is the key feature of BI, any BI tool, and in BW also reporting is done on InfoCube, wherein it gives you the standard star schema. I think you are aware of that. But the difference between the standard InfoCube and the planned InfoCube, which we are going to see as part of this training, is standard InfoCube is the only one, like you have something inside that, I mean, you have some data inside that, you report on that. That's it. So that's the standard cube. But the planning cube, what it does is, apart from reporting the data, which it has, it also allows the user to enter some data and save, and it saves the data to the queue itself. Like on the report created on top of the real-time cube, you can actually enter the data from the report and save it back to the cube. So because when you want to do a planning, it's something like the user has to enter some data and then save it back. So that particular feature is provided by the, technically, I think this is the difference between the standard and real-time cube. So we'll see more details on that in the training. So that's the main thing.
What is that real-time cube? Can you say again, like if the user can enter data from the report and that will be updated to the queue?
Yes, that's the real-time cube. When you create an InfoCube in BW 7.0, there is a checkbox for the real-time queue. I think I can show you all those things once the training starts, and I think you will get into that. I mean, apart from this, the checkbox, checking the checkbox, I think technically you won't feel any other difference, but there is like few other options on the right-click menu. So saying that, okay, I mean, since it is an InfoCube, you can also load data from backend. Apart from loading data, you can also save data by entering in the front end. So at a time, only one is possible. So to restrict that, you have options. I think apart from these two, like I don't think there is any other difference between the standard and real-time cube.
We can even do reporting on this cube?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, see, it's a report. It's an InfoCube in itself, so you can do reporting. And since it's a real-time cube, you can actually type data in the front end and save it back. And you can also load data like a normal InfoCube. You can also load data in the backend. But in order to avoid the duplication or like kind of locking of data, either you can enable this cube for the front-end data entry or the backend data load. So there is an option to say, okay, I mean, only allow a DTP load. So if that is checked, you can only have the process chain load or the normal DTP load. And once the process chain load is over, then you actually uncheck that and you check like the front end loading, wherein like you can actually enter the data from the front end and save it. We can see all those things actually. And if you see the process chain itself, there are options to do this. Like it says plan mode and load mode. Like change the InfoCube to the plan mode. Or, like if initially when the process chain gets executed, if you're loading some data to the real-time InfoCube, you can change that cube to the load mode and then use the DTP to load the data. And at the end of the process chain, you again put it to the plan mode, because at the night when the process chain runs and completes, the next day when the user comes and does the planning, he can enter something from the front end. So we can see all those things, like how these things are included in the day-to-day processes, BW process. So the load process, I mean. So this is how it you start the integrated planning stuff. So I mean, one more thing, if you see, if you are seeing my screen, actually also cover the two main aspects of the integrated planning, which is the manual planning and automated planning. Like till now I was saying that, okay, planning means something like entering the value in the front end and saving. Yeah, that's the manual planning. But based on my experience, I can say that like 30 to 40% or like kind of like, I mean, 25 to 40%, something like that, the manual planning is done. Apart from that, the remaining like 65-70% is completely the automated planning. So automated planning in the sense SAP provides you with predefined 12 functions, planning functions, which will actually help you in actually achieving your planning better. Instead of like you typing in like 100 records, 200 records, it will generate everything based on what is your requirement. And you can actually combine different planning functions based on your requirement. We'll also see like how we can combine them in a sequence called as a planning sequence. You say, okay, this sequence has function number one is copy to execute, or next function is delete, or I mean each function has its own functionality. So once you understand that, you can actually combine them into a sequence, and you can even include them in a process chain, or you can even execute them from the report. So I mean all those things are possible. So that's about the real-time info cube and the planning function and planning sequence stuff. And I mean, to give you like the introduction on the planning function, maybe I can say one basically or commonly used planning function, which is called the copy planning function. Okay, like consider that like there will be few customers who are at the beginning of the year. Okay, like if you are in the beginning of 2013, for example. I mean, the important thing in any planning is the planning cycle. Okay, like there will be customers who will be doing yearly planning. Like, okay, this is 2013, they'll be doing planning for 2014 in 2013. That's the yearly planning. There are a few customers who might be doing a half yearly planning. Okay, you are in January, the customer will start planning from July in January. And there are a few customers who do quarterly planning or even weekly planning, or I mean, normally they don't do weekly planning. The most, I think, what I have worked the most, I mean, most of the customers, I think they do this kind of planning. But there are a few customers who do like 45 days planning also. Like if you are in like day one, you will be actually planning for like plus 45 days after that, like after 1.5 months. So I mean, this is the kind of planning cycle. Okay, so consider that you are in the beginning of the planning cycle. Okay, you are going to plan for the next cycle. Like you are in a quarterly planning cycle, you are in January, you are going to plan for April. Okay, so in that case, to start with, okay, from April there will be no data for the planning in the planning cube, right? So you can use this copy planning function, okay, to copy records from last year April to June, April to June, that particular quarter, second quarter, to the current year. Okay, so it will copy actually records from last year this thing actuals to this year planning cube. Okay, so that you have some data in the cube and you start doing the manual planning. So that when the user starts with that, he can see, oh, okay, this was copied from last year, so that he knows like last year this is a sale, so this year how much it's going to be, and he can change that and save it back. So something like to ease the work or ease the effort of the user, rather than he thinking about, oh, okay, this is going to be my last year thing, and he is typing like 100 records manually. So you can actually generate them using the copy planning function. We'll see in detail like how that can be executed, but I'm just giving you an overall idea like what a planning function is capable of.
So planning is going to be based on both actuals and the forecasted one.
I mean, there is one thing. Normally, planning is based on actual, yes, but in many places, planning is the manual planning is based on the experience or the level of detail or level of understanding that the planner has, right? Like, okay, actual is like, okay, last year actual is like some number, but based on his experience, the planner himself decides, okay, last year is this much, next year is going to be how much. So that particular thing is decided by, in the manual planning, it's completely dependent on the user. Okay, so that's why like there are companies which do manual planning along with automated planning, so that you get a kind of approximate value. Like when you go to next year, the next year actual whichever is coming up should, I mean, it's not like it should be perfectly matching with your plan. I don't think like anywhere it happens, but it's kind of like, okay, it should not be like drastically different, right? Okay, you are forecasting like 30 boxes to be manufactured in this month. When next month comes, I mean next year, I mean whichever month you are planning, that month comes, the actual gets over. The actual value for that month, I mean, should be like 30 to 40 or even 50, but not like 70 or 100. You are actually planning for 30, but it should not be like 70 or 100. Like your actual should not be that much. So, I mean, in that way, your planning should be. That's actually the success of your planning system. So it's like it's dependent on both the requirements of the user and how you implement IP, but finally the end goal should be like roughly should be that. Okay, whatever you are planning, so it should match the actual whenever that particular planned month or planned period comes and the actual gets completed. When you're seeing whatever value you're planning, when you're comparing it with the actual, kind of it should match, or it should be like 10-20% or something like that. So I mean that again it is that is the client, but yeah, I mean whatever based on my experience I must say it should be like that.
If it is going to be monthly, then if I'm going to plan for next month, I'm going to use this month actuals.
No. That is again dependent on the user. I'm just saying one user scenario. Your user might say, okay, in your client they might say, I mean it's like no actual, just start from scratch. So that's also possible. But I'm just saying one scenario wherein like, okay, if you're doing a monthly planning and next month is July, you copy the data of last year July actuals. You just copy it to this year July planning and then you can start planning. That's one option. Or some users some clients they say, okay, I want to copy this year June's data. I mean it depends whatever the client says. But this is also a way which can be achieved. If the user says, okay, I want last year June's data to last year July data to get copied to this year July, and that should be the base for the planning. Yeah, that can be achieved. I'm just saying, whenever this requirement comes, you should immediately remember, oh, okay, it's simple. You just go to the copy planning function and execute it by giving the appropriate parameters. It will get executed, and you will
So
get
the actual base can be anything. It depends on client.
There need not be any base also. I have worked in one project where there was no actual base. Users were entering manually. That's also possible.
Okay. User entering manually means based on the experience.
Yeah. So I mean that's again manual thing is prone to error. So when your client says, okay, we don't want the base data, the user should enter manually. Based on like your experience and expertise, you have to tell them. Normally, the user entry or any manual entry is prone to errors. So human error is like common. So in that case, you can tell them that, and you can say that okay, we'll go for manual planning, but we'll give the base data, and you have to suggest that to the client actually. Probably he'll accept it, but yeah, I mean you have to suggest it. You have to say this is how it is. You cannot allow everything to be manual because normally that doesn't work well. That's why SAP is giving two options, right? If only manual is there, SAP will say, okay, we'll not give any planning function, only take the manual option. Like that doesn't manual. You can do it in Excel also, right? Why do you need a planning system? You just go to Excel. Now many companies do planning in Excel, the manual planning, right?
Yeah, they said till now they were doing in the Excel and now they are going to replace it.
Yeah. See, that's how it is. I mean, I've seen many clients using that. Even one of the client I work, they were using Excel. So Excel, they will use Excel formula. They'll extrapolate the data. They'll manipulate the data. I mean, that's all like too technical. It is not like the business thing, right? When you come to the SAP system, it should be kind of professional. So when you suggest, you have to suggest these kind of suggestions. Actually, that's why I'm more interested on what kind of planning your client is doing, so that we can concentrate more. Like there are a few clients I work, they'll
They
do.
said it's going to be on all the projects projects budgets, how much budget they're going to spend on each project. Where I work is a utility company. They have two companies, one for SDG and one for SOCAL. So whatever the projects budgets they're going to spend in SDG and in SOCAL gas for all those projects, like basically whatever the reports we are going to generate, it's going to be for each project manager, for every project manager in the company.
So okay. Oh, okay. That's nice to hear. I'm also currently working for a utility company. I know, but this company doesn't use IP. They use the ECC controlling planning for these kind of things. The project budget. They create ECC internal orders for that. That's fine. So
You're
fine.
also working for project budgets?
Yeah, but not an IP. That will be coming from ECC.
Okay. Initially, they thought it is IBM TM1. I don't know what is that too.
Are they using ECC? The backend system is ECC, right?
Yeah, backend system is ECC. They say they only gave the overall picture, like what currently they're having some model in BW7. They're going to migrate it to BW 7.3, wherein there is an integrated planning.
Okay. In 7.3, what happens is In 7.0, when integrated planning was introduced, it was a separate Java GUI. You need to go to the T-code RS plan, and when you select the start modeler, it will open a Java web page. But in 7.3, it's even more easier. So when you select T-code RS plan, it will take you to an ABAP. It's a T-code inside the BW itself. It will be there. It's not a Java separate installation. So, but in 7.0,
the one which you are going to in these sessions, it's going to be in 7 or 7.3.
so we can.
In my project, I was not exactly sure like whether it is going to be in 7 or they are going to migrate it to 7.3 with IP.
No. See, feature-wise, 7.2 IP and 7.3 IP doesn't have much differences. Only there are few new features in 7.3 which I can cover. But when you confirm that you want 7.3, then we can ask Priya so that she can arrange a 7.3 system with IP. It's up to you, your call actually. If you want.
Right now, I can't go and ask them for confirmation, like for which one they are going.
7.3, Mansa, but the thing is, 7.3 and 7.2, there are not much differences. That's what I am trying to say. The only extra features in 7.3 is it's ABAP modeler instead of the Java one, and you'll not have much issues. In 7.2, the issue is whenever your Java is down, I think you'll not be able to access the modeler, and you'll not be able to design any planning function. You'll not be able to do any planning related operation if your Java is down. But in 7.3, since it is inside ABAP itself, like RSA1, it's a T code and it's inside ABAP. These kind of issues are not there. So, I mean.
In BW 7.3, it's going to be in ABAP?
Yes, it's the same T code. When you say RS plan, it will come inside that. All this, whatever was there in the Java modeler, everything is in ABAP.
Okay.
Yeah, so apart from that, and there are like few extra features in AP, the query designer side, I can cover them. But I don't think apart from that there are any, anything like massively changing or things like that. So you need not worry.
Reporting also will cover on this thing? Or?
Yeah. If you see my agenda, are you seeing my agenda? So that input ready query and the reports, I think they will take a lot of time.
Reporting is in which one? Like 4. Bob J4?
No, Bob J4, I think only analysis supports planning. I don't think any other application supports planning. Analysis for Office Excel and PowerPoint, mostly Excel, that's what we'll see, that supports planning. I think apart from that, none of the view applications were included or supporting IP.
Only Bob J4 supports IP?
Not Bob J4. In Bob J, only the analysis for Office Excel supports IP.
Sorry, which one in Bob J?
Analysis for Office, Excel and PowerPoint, but mostly we'll see the Excel. I think that's a replacement for your Bex Analyzer.
Sorry, can you say that again? Analysis for?
Office Excel.
Office Excel.
Yes. You know Bex Analyzer, right?
I know Bex Analyzer, yeah.
That's getting replaced by this.
Okay.
So we'll get into that also. I think how we can report and how we can run planning functions and all that stuff. I think in Analyzer it was like you can have buttons for planning functions, but I don't think in analysis you can have that. In analysis it's something like you include it on the right side, there is option, you can execute. I can show you all those things.
They were discussing like final model is going to be this one. On this Bob J report again they are going to enable them to work, to make them work in iPad.
So I think mostly it will be analysis for Office Excel, I guess.
Okay.
I can actually reconfirm, but for one of my clients I did analysis for Office Excel and they are still using it, but I can reconfirm what other Bob J tools are activated for IP. As far as my knowledge, on top of my head, actually I can say nothing, but apart from analysis, but I can reconfirm. That's fine. I think due course, I think it's on the later part of the training. I can actually confirm that.
Okay.
So you have any other specific questions, Manasa?
No, only one question I had, like whether it's going to be in 7.2 or 7.3.
Okay, so is Priya there? Priya, are you there?
Balaji.
No, actually she is saying, hope that we actually start the training. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm good, Priya. I think